Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Jasmine and today I have a design team post for Infinity Engravings. They do a lot of chipboard die cuts and they are all engraved. So I'm starting out with this cupcake. I'm going to cover him, it has a gender. I'm going to cover it in some white acrylic paint. I'm using Dylusions from Ranger. And this is a more of a fluid acrylic paint. And I like it because it gets into the nooks and crannies of the die cut, but it doesn't necessarily cover them. So you still see the detail in the die cut. So after that was dry, I got some green acrylic paint. This is by Folk Art. This is called Bright Green. And I'm going to paint the frosting portion. And I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do with the stars, so I wanted to leave them white. And so I painted around them. I did end up covering them with some die cut stars, so it didn't really end up mattering, but I did take the time to make sure, just in case, because you never quite know what you want to do. At least I don't. And this would also be a lot of fun for kids to kind of help with. If you wanted to make these into Christmas ornaments, or maybe mass produce these for grandma and grandpa if they live far away or something like that. This would be a lot of fun for the kids to help paint. So after I got the first coat done, I went in and added a second coat just to make sure that the paint was all even and there wasn't any blotchy spots. Because this is a cheaper acrylic paint, so I think it was like 99 cents at the craft store. So it's not real high quality paint, so there was a little bit of blotchiness after the first coat. And I'm just using some inexpensive acrylic paint brushes. Nothing too expensive there. And you want to make sure that you get the edges around the die cut too, just to give it a more finished look. The back doesn't matter because we do end up adhering it to the shaker piece, but the sides, I do like to get the sides with whatever color I'm using. Looks a little more finished, a little more polished. And acrylic paint is water soluble, so it washes off very easily. Don't have to worry about it sticking too much. So I set that aside to dry and I began to work on my shaker element. So I've got two circle dies. The outer one is a stitch circle die and the inner one is just a plain circle die. And this ended up being about 1/4 inch wide, which is a good size. It's not too thin. And it allows you to add, so there you go. Allows you to add the adhesive and the foam tape pretty easily. So I wanted to add a little bit of texture to this, so I went and put it through my Big Shot using a Basketweave embossing folder. And these are from R Memory Keepers, and they're a little thicker than other embossing folders, so I wasn't getting the sandwich correct. So you see me kind of trying to figure out what the correct sandwich is and how to get it through there. But eventually got it to work. So and then I ended up die cutting the back piece using just the largest shaker die or circle die. And that way it's both the top and the bottom are the same size. So I cut my letters and my star background out of the same piece of gold foil cardstock. And so this die cuts out a connected star outline, but it also cuts out lots of tiny little stars. And you're going to want to save some of those stars. I save all of them because they're really good for confetti and shaker bits. But for this, they're the perfect size to glue over the top of those stars on the cupcake die cut. I didn't ever want any of the white outline showing because they were just bigger. And so that worked out pretty perfectly. So I've got some Delicata Golden Glitz pigment ink, and I'm using it with the ink blending tool and really light pressure because I wanted to do my best to just hit the tops of the embossing and show the texture and not get too much underneath. And then I went in with 1/4 inch wide score tape, and you just kind of pleat it around the circle. And then I went and smoothed over with my bone folder to make sure that the adhesive was stuck down to the paper really well. And I ran out of my acetate windows, so I had to figure out something else to use. And I ended up grabbing an Avery Elle Storage pocket and die cut that using the same stitch circle die, so it's the same size, to use as my window. Those are thinner, so they work well with die cutting. I have them for making shaker pockets with the R Memory Keepers soldering tool, but that's a little bit more work. So I did the foam tape method instead, and this is fairly easy. So you double up your foam tape, it sticks to itself, as you can see, and then I cut it in half. And then to manipulate it around, you just remove the backing paper. And I got that trick from Christina Werner, I believe. So you just go a little bit at a time and you wrap it right around. And then you want to make sure that the two ends are snugly meet in the middle so that you don't have any gaps, especially if you're using glitter. If you're using bigger pieces, it's not as big of a deal because they can't escape, but if you're using fine particles like glitter, you really want to make sure that there are no gaps in whatever foam you're using. So this is that stacked star die cut. And I glued it down with some Tombow and then just took my scissors and trimmed off any of the excess little pieces. And there wasn't much at all. And then I've got some Purple Velvet Little Things sequin mix. And I put some of those right in the middle. And you want enough to see, but you don't want so much that it has a hard time moving around in there because there's not a lot of space between the bottom and the window. So this is an oldie but goodie technique. So this is the Tsukineko Essentials ink pad or glue pad. And you want to add glue to the pad every time you use it, so it doesn't really stay moist like a traditional ink pad. You want to add your glue and then work it in with the tip and then apply it to your stamp. And this rinses off with warm water or a baby wipe, so you don't have to worry about getting gunky on your stamps. Got to remove any stray bits apparently. So you put your card base down on top of the background stamp. And then lift your card base up I'm going to try to show you in the light how you can see the image. And then I'm using some Elizabeth Craft Design Silk Microfine Glitter. I'm going to apply that. And you want to let this glue dry for at least 10 minutes after you apply it before you put the glitter on. So you want to let it get tacky. So then you really lightly rub over the glitter with your finger. And as you're doing it, it's kind of hard to see it in the video, but as you're doing it, you're going to see the shine kind of come up from burnishing it into the glitter or into the glue. I love how this shines. It is so pretty. And then I just take a fluffy brush that I got from Perfect Pearls, just any fluffy brush you've got will work for this, just to dust off any excess. And now we are ready to put all of our pieces together. And the letters for the Jesus was you cut out using a Lawn Fawn Claire's ABCs die set, also from the gold foil paper. So I just added some score tape to the back of my shaker piece there. My score tape is the strongest dry adhesive I have ever come across, and it doesn't come apart. So whatever you attach it to, if you need to lift it up, you're going to damage whatever it was stuck to. So just bear that in mind when you're using it to make sure you get things put in place properly so you don't have to tear anything apart and redo it. Ask me how I know. So I took some more of that Delicata Golden Glitz and buffed it around the edges. And now I'm adding some score to the back of the cupcake. And we're going to use that to adhere that down to the middle of the shaker window. And then this happy birthday is also a Lawn Fawn die. It's a happy birthday border. And when you cut it out, it's going to say happy birthday to you. And I just trimmed off the to you and used my scissors to round the end of the Y. And so I've got some Tombow on the back of that, on the end of the the PPY and the happy, and then the birth and the birthday. Because that cupcake is thicker, so it sits up a little bit off the surface of the window. So I was going to use foam squares to adhere Jesus on there, but it was too high. So I pulled off the foam square I had on the back of there and used Tombow instead to adhere my letters. And a good trick for whenever you're adhering letters is to start with the middle letter and then go side to side until you've got your whole word. And it's easier to apply it evenly and appropriately spaced that way. So that pretty much finishes up our card. I thought it was pretty, going into Christmas, we want to celebrate the reason for the season. So I'm like, hey, why don't we do a happy birthday card for Jesus? So yeah, that was my whole inspiration behind this card, and I hope you enjoyed, and we will catch you later. Thanks for joining me today, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.